You get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit. Everybody's getting a lawsuit. Apparently, everybody's being sued this year. Tyler Perry and Fat Joe are both being sued by former employees, one for S assault and the other one for S acts with minors. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Pam Unfiltered, where we spill the hottest celeb tea, break down reality TV chaos, and get real about trending news. All right, so let me start off with Tyler Perry. This past Tuesday, news broke out that an actor, Dereck Dixon, filed a $260 million lawsuit stating that Perry sexually harassed him in several text messages and sexually assaulted him during a time in Perry's home. So, according to TMZ, the Oval actor met Perry back in 2019 at an event. Dixon stated that Perry picked him out of the crowd and told him that he might have a role he can play, which in turn was true because the actor was then featured in 2 episodes on BET's Ruthless. So in 2020, Perry invited Dixon to his home where the actor agreed in hopes to build a relationship with the mogul. Allegedly, while inside Perry's home, the actor got drunk and fell asleep in one of the guest rooms, only to wake up to Perry rubbing his thigh. Dixon rejected Perry's advances, but still states Perry continued to be interested. Shortly after the incident, Dixon landed a role on BET's The Oval, claiming his character was based off what Tyler wanted in real life, a desperate gay homeless man that would depend on him. This is also the time when the sexual text messages began, with Tyler asking the actor what is his preference and that he liked men. The actor claims he didn't report the harassment in fear of his career. Dixon states in a lawsuit there were several incidents that happened after landing the role. In the same year, Perry invited him back to his home where the harassment took a darker turn. When he arrived at his home, Perry greeted him with a warm embrace and started a sexual conversation, asking if he liked it rough in bed. Perry then grabbed him by the throat and said, "Look how excited you just got." Dixon quickly ended the incident by pushing Perry away and leaving. According to the lawsuit, another incident occurred back in 2021 when Dixon stayed in Perry's guest home. Before he ended his night, he claims Perry came in to say goodnight, but quickly grabbed out his underwear, groping his butt, saying, "Relax, let it happen," and assured him that it wasn't going to hurt. Dixon quickly rejected his advances, but does not say if he left the home or not. In 2024, Dixon filed a sexual harassment claim with EEOC and quit the show The Oval, stating he could no longer put up with the sexual harassment. Tyler's attorney, Matthew Boyd, tells TMZ, "This is an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam. But Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will fail." All right, so you may or may not agree with me on my opinion here, but I do not believe Dereck Dixon when it comes to this essay story. I'm sorry. There's just some things that he said in the lawsuit that I read to you guys here, and it's just very, very questionable, right? Do I believe him and Tyler Perry had a friendship? Absolutely. Do I believe that Tyler Perry SA'd him? No. Tyler Perry has had speculation of his sexuality for at least 2 decades. And no one has ever come forward to say, yes, I was in a relationship with this man. As a billionaire, as a businessman who's been successful for more than 2 decades, this would be one of the dumbest things that he could possibly done. You're telling me, and this is if he actually does like men, you don't think he has people in place, NDAs in place to make sure that his secret is kept, that he would text you as advances so carelessly? Again, I don't believe it. As a grown person, why would you continue to go over to somebody who makes you uncomfortable? Solely because you wanted to have a backup plan just in case your career didn't pan out. And this is what this is. This man left the Oval in 2024. I looked up his IMDb. He's only worked for Tyler Perry. He has nothing upcoming. Does he work a 9 to 5? Probably not. Let me tell you something about that entertainment business. Whether you're an actor, director, producer in the music industry, an influencer, whatever, when they get a taste of that high life, they want to keep it. Going back to a 9 to 5 is an embarrassment and it's a downgrade. So, what do a lot of people do? They spark up friendships with celebrities who have a lot of money. And then, boom, they sue them. See, everybody who sued a celebrity after Cassie is thinking about a hush check because when Cassie sued Diddy, he settled in 24 hours. So people think, let's go for this big celebrity. They don't want the embarrassment. They don't want that dirt on their name. They're just, let me throw this accusation out there and let them sign this hush check real quick. And I'm good and I'm set and I don't have to work a 9 to 5 ever again. And if I don't advance in my career or if I don't make it in my career, that's okay. I got this money here. And I think this is exactly what Dereck Dixon was doing. What are you guys' thoughts on this lawsuit? This is going to be ongoing. We're definitely going to get more information as the days go by, and we'll definitely report it. But what are your thoughts? Are they the same as mine? Do you believe Dereck Dixon? Let me know down below. But let's get into this Fat Joe story because it is just as juicy as Tyler Perry's. I mean, wowza. Minors? Wow. So, New York rapper Fat Joe is being sued by his former hype man, Terrance Dixon. That's right, y'all heard it. Another Dixon is suing an entertainer. So, apparently, Dixon is suing Fat Joe for $20 million because he alleges the rapper engaged in acts with minors and coerced him, Dixon, into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing. You guys, the information that I'm going to read to you is from variety.com. It was a lot of information, but I condensed it into the shortest amount possible. And I'm going to read it very slow because it's still a lot. Okay. So bear with me, but I want to make sure I read it slow enough so you guys can catch all the information and you don't necessarily have to rewind it back. All right. Okay. So Dixon filed a lawsuit back in court Thursday alleging that his former boss, Fat Joe, engaged in coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, manipulation, violent intimidation, and psychological coercion. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Dixon adds that the hip hop star behind such chart toppers as Lean Back got rich and famous while he and his associates deliberately suppressed, silenced, and erased Dixon's substantial creative, artistic, and commercial contributions, which were foundational to Fat Joe's professional success and personal. That was a lie. The complaint filed in the Southern District of New York details so many disturbing claims about Fat Joe's alleged relations with women, including underage girls. For 16 years, Dixon served as Fat Joe's so-called hype man. He also contributed as a lyricist and background vocals in songs such as Congratulations, Ice Cream, and Money Over Bitches. I have never heard not one of these songs in my life. But then again, I'm not a rap girl. According to the complaint, he had an unrivaled vantage point to observe the rapper's offstage lifestyle and behavior. Dixon states in the complaint that Fat Joe forced him into humiliating situations, including acts performed under duress and surveillance, accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused to comply. By his own estimation, Dixon states in the suit that he was coerced into more than 4,000 acts to maintain his standing with an enterprise. I'm going to stop right here. I said this when we were talking about Tyler Perry. I'm assuming that Terrance Dixon serving him for 16 years is most likely in his mid to late 40s, early 50s, around the same age as Fat Joe. As a grown man, you're sacrificing your morals, your comfort to live that lifestyle. Allegedly, you allowed this man to manipulate you into 4,000 SX. That's ridiculous. Another thing here is I'm going to really leave my opinions towards the end, but I have to cut in here. Apparently, Fat Joe threatened to abandon him in foreign countries. I don't know how y'all mother raised y'all, but my mother always raised me to always have money in my pocket. If someone is fitting the bill for something, that's cool. But anything can go down. Make sure you have the essentials that you need, including money. You telling me this man don't have no money? At the very least, a credit card, just in case he was left behind in a foreign country. You obviously have your passport. You telling me you don't have no money to get a commercial flight home? Okay, I don't know if I believe that. But anyway, let's get back to what Variety has. Most shockingly, the suit claims that Dixon personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old and lists three such Jane Does, including a 16-year-old Dominican girl from New York, who, in exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill, would perform O-sex and other S acts on the rapper. Minor Doe 2 is a Caucasian female and not a U.S. citizen. Fat Joe began a S relation with Minor Doe 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Due to Minor Doe 2's body being adolescent and not fully formed, defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift. Minor Doe 2 eventually left Fat Joe and is now married to a professional athlete. Minor Doe 3 is a Latina female who met Fat Joe when she was 15 years old, turning 16. According to Dixon, the defendant was in love with Minor Doe 3. He even contemplated leaving his wife. Fat Joe paid all Minor Doe 3 bills and even took her overseas to his tour stops. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. In a in a recorded conversation, Minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin describes in detail to the plaintiff how inappropriate it was for the defendant, who was in his late 30s at the time, to be fawning over children. Y'all, they have the Jane Does on recordings. This does not look good for Fat Joe. But you know what? This is all talk. I have yet to see any type of physical proof if this is true or not. This is all he say, she say, right? All right, let's continue. All right, so before I read this next passage, I just want to give y'all a little information. So Fat Joe has been on social media talking about Dixon, okay? I believe Fat Joe sued Dixon earlier this year, okay? So they've been having a lot of beef in the last couple of years, right? Specifically earlier this year. All right. So Dixon's suit against Fat Joe goes much further than his social media posts and states that he endured a wide spectrum of coercion, psychological control, forced exhibition. Y'all, I do not know how to say that word, so don't kill me. And surveillance-based humiliation, including being compelled to perform S acts under observation, being filmed or directed by F. Joe in the presence of others. Is it just me or this sounds like a Diddy case? Is it just me? Is this coming off as if this is Fat Joe is another Diddy? Y'all let me know in the comment section, right? Okay. So these S-based abuses were not private, incidental, or isolated. They were integral to the enterprise culture of dominance and humiliation, enforced by Fat Joe's associates such as Pistol Pete, JB, and others. Oh my God. And sustained across numerous tour locations, including Miami, North Carolina, Germany, Spain, and Wisconsin. All right, y'all. Y'all still with me? I got a little bit more left to read. I hope y'all still with me. Okay. Last bit, okay? Also, in the lawsuit, Dixon claims that the activities took place on Market America corporate yachts and its mansion properties where Fat Joe orchestrated repeated orgies involving the plaintiff, female dancers, and minors. This is very Diddy-ish. Am I wrong? Am I right? The lawsuit also adds that Fat Joe used his status as a hip hop star to compel Dixon and others into degrading S performances, often while Fat Joe watched, recorded, or directed the encounters. Diddy, 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 diddy. Do I gotta say it again? Or is this very much mirroring what's going on with Puffy right now? Dixon did not willingly consent to participate in these acts. Instead, Dixon submitted solely out of fear of immediate retaliation, which the defendant, aka Fat Joe, repeatedly demonstrated would include financial punishment, professional sabotage, abandonment in foreign countries, or physical harm. And then finally, Dixon states that Fat Joe also issued veiled death threats and witness intimidation via direct message, such as, "You love your family, right? Fall back in 48 hours and we let you live." You know, these accusations on Fat Joe are extremely shocking because when you think of Fat Joe in his 30 plus career in the entertainment business, music industry, the music that he released to us was always like feel good, positive, jamming kind of music, right? Even the way he presented himself in the industry was very, feel good, positive. I just want to have fun. I just want to rhyme and rap and show y'all, I can present this type of feel good music to you. But these accusations, time and time again, just continues to show us how evil the industry is, right? The industry likes to put this, or I should say, present this facade to all of us that everything is all happy and nice. But behind closed doors, these people are evil. They use their power to entertain their disgusting vices. This has been going on, I'm going to say, since maybe the 20s and 30s. And it really, really presented itself, I would say maybe the 80s, the 90s. I don't know if you guys know about the Coreys, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, how they used to come out and say, things about the industry, but because they were men, they kind of just, pushed them on the wayside and didn't believe. But in the past 15, I would say 15, 20 years, it's really been pushed out there how evil the industry is. Let me tell you something. Fat Joe's accusations align with Diddy's. It's very similar. Now, does Fat Joe have the amount of power that Diddy has? Absolutely not. But these accusations in this article mirrors Diddy completely. Do I believe that Fat Joe did some of these things? Absolutely. What I believe is the Jane Doe stories. I wholeheartedly believe this. As far as the Dixon, the hype man, I have question marks there. I looked up Dixon and he is clearly in his 50s and he said he worked with Fat Joe for 16 years. That would put him in his mid 30s. You're telling me within those 16 years of you being a grown man in your 30s all the way into whatever, you allowed this man to manipulate you, to record you, to push you into SA situations, all for what? For you to continue to live that lifestyle. I don't know how rich he is. I don't know how successful he is. Honestly, I've never heard of him before. But to be somebody's hype man for 16 years, he did live a somewhat comfortable life, right? And probably got access to a lot of events, award shows, parties, that normal people wouldn't get into. To me personally, I don't believe that he was forced. I believe that he fully participated in any of those acts if it is true. Um, but again, the Jane Doe stories, to me personally, might be true. Again, this is all alleged. Um, as far as the article that I read in Variety, the only evidence that was presented was the recording of, I believe, Jane Doe 1, right? But as far as physical evidence, we have not seen any. So I don't know how far this lawsuit will go, but the accusations are out there. When I was looking at this lawsuit and the articles online, there wasn't a lot of people talking about it, but I have to say this, it's picking up legs. It's picking up a lot of legs. And I don't know how trouble Fat Joe is, but if it picks up, I mean, the mainstream outlets, I don't know, he might be in trouble. What are your thoughts on this particular lawsuit? I'm 50-50 on it. I can believe the Jane Doe accusations. Again, the Dixon accusations, I don't believe it at all. Do I believe he's going to get $20 million? No, he's not. He hasn't presented anything as far as the lawsuit goes. Um, and I'm not trying to be shady. I'm not trying to be shady. Fat Joe has had an amazing career, 30 years career, but I have to say this. Does he have $20 million if Dixon wins? Does he? I don't know. Again, what are your thoughts on this particular lawsuit? Leave your comments down below. And as always, guys, that's it for today's tea on Pam Unfiltered. If you like the drama, the gossip, and the real talk, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I'll see you in the next one.